Hello, Gnome team, parents and students. It's Mr. H here, finally back to school, and hopefully, sun shining, we'll be here for 2 straight days for the first time in a very long time. So hopefully the Snowmageddon treated you all well, and you are back and ready for some school. So I thought I would give you a bit of an update of what we've been attempting to do for the last 2 weeks and what we are going to be doing this week. So we've been talking about the Middle Ages in Europe. That is our unit that we've been working on right now, and we've been working through some of the vocabulary on our sheet here. So we've talked about what feudalism is and the feudal pyramid and the hierarchy set up in the Middle Ages. We've talked about some of the roles, the king, the knight, the serf. We talked a little bit about the Battle of Hastings in 1066 in England. We've talked a little tiny bit about the Magna Carta. We've also explored a little bit of the Renaissance, hence the Leonardo da Vinci tie that I'm wearing today. So that's kind of the vocabulary that we've been working on, and we'll continue to work on that the rest of this week a little bit. But I did want to bring to your attention the big project that we are working on right now in class, which deals with this book right here called Good Masters, Sweet Ladies, Voices from a Medieval Village. It's a great Newbery-winning book that came out a few years ago, and basically it is a series of short monologues. This is Constance the Pilgrim, written as a way to get students to perform. The author of this book, Laurie Amy Schultz, was the librarian at a school, and her students were doing some work with the Middle Ages, and she wanted to write some kind of play for them to perform in, but there were like 17 kids or 19 kids in the class, and she couldn't figure out a way to write a play that had enough voices for everyone to be feeling important. So she wrote all of these monologues, and basically they're little short plays about life in the medieval village. So students were choosing those, and they're either working by themselves as a solo reader or in groups of 2, where they're splitting it in half and reading half of it, and then the other partner reads half of it. And basically it's a reading assignment. So what they're doing is they are working through this page. We started this a little bit today. They've read the assignment last Monday. Basically what they're doing is they're looking for any kind of challenging vocabulary words that they might not know and definitions of those words. They're also going to talk about their role in the feudal pyramid and how do you know that. And then they're going to just basically tell the story in their own words. That way they know the kind of main idea of this story. They're going to talk about if they like their character or not. That's my tricky way of getting them to think about the mood of the story so that they can think about how to read this in an appropriate tone. And then they're going to basically just find some things that they've learned about life in the Middle Ages. Each of these characters has a role. Constance is a pilgrim going on a pilgrimage. Drogo is the tanner's apprentice, and he works with tanners. So it's an interesting way to learn more about basic life in the Middle Ages, not the swashbuckling, knights in shining armor type of thing that we tend to think about, but more real life and what it was like to actually live through the Middle Ages. My goal is that some students will be ready to present their reading on Wednesday, a few people maybe. If not, Thursday and Friday will be our presentation days. They will need to bring in one prop of some sort, and we talked a little bit about that today, and they have to start to thinking about it. When I talk about props, it needs to be 2 things. Number 1, it needs to be appropriate for the character. So if your character is a serf, you wouldn't bring in a plastic sword because that's not appropriate, it doesn't fit. And number 2, it needs to be creative. My goal was not to get them to tell you that they need to go to Party City and buy a costume. That's not creative, and that's not what I want them to do. I want them thinking about their character and what would be a prop, not a real thing. We're not asking people to bring in eggs and mud. We're thinking illusion of those things. It can be made with paper. It can be done as simple as a drawing. It can be a piece of clothing that could be used as costume. Lots of ways of solving this problem in interesting and creative ways, and that's what we're talking about when we talk about the prop. So, if you have questions about that, feel free to email me and I can give you more information or clarify any questions that you might have. That will be our project through the rest of this week. We'll do a little bit with the Renaissance, probably the Magna Carta first, and then the Renaissance next week, and hopefully be done. So we'll try to catch up these next 2 weeks and be back on track. So if you have any questions, please let me know. If not, enjoy the sunshine and lack of snow. For now, anyway.